This is Andi Purewal for Boxing News, joined by promoter Eddie Hearn here at Lion Boxing Club. Eddie, obviously another charitable donation from yourself and from Matchroom to another amateur boxing club. What's the hope that it can deliver, and what have you made of your night and evening here?
Yeah, you saw everyone's face in there tonight. It's just, it makes me feel unbelievable, selfishly, because the sport and business can be so shit sometimes that this reminds you what we love about the game. And honestly, I get as much enjoyment doing these nights as I do of doing Riyadh season LA, AJ Wembley. That's how passionate I feel about it. And I think right now these clubs, we had it recently with the Lynn ABC, we're closing down. Lion ABC got in touch with us and said, look, one, financially we're really struggling, but two, we're down to 3 carded members. I mean, this club, the history of this club is unbelievable. And now they've got over 30 carded members. You saw tonight, the gym is flying. We helped them out financially. They're always going to need help, but right now, we need these places more than ever. I mean, what hope have we got if clubs in the community that provide opportunity for kids to learn and be disciplined and fit mentally, keep them off the streets, start disappearing? It's like, we might as well just give up, pack up and go. And it's really good to see this club flourishing, and so good to see so many good people, like George Vizioli over there, Johnny Fisher, Francis Ampofo is like my ultimate hero in the sport of boxing. I think that life passes you by very quickly, and I think when you look back and you start realising your life in the sport, I think back and I think, fuck me, it's coming up to 40 years I've been around boxing. 40 years. And I still feel like the kid who met Francis Ampofo in the Matchroom gym in Romford, and he used to take the deep pan pizza with Herbie Hyde and all the boys, I don't feel any different, and it's nearly 4 decades on. But the love, the first time you walk through that gym, and you smell it, you smell the ham wraps, the leather, the bag, and it's the same in here tonight. Baking hot, what was it, 120 degrees in there, wasn't it? I mean, and it's just, I look around, it just puts a smile on my face.
And boxing gyms have an acquired smell, Eddie.
Yeah, but it's a smell you never forget, isn't it?
That is true. You just made an interesting point about how kind of your love for sports never dies. And I remember in the past, like I've interviewed you in the past, and you've mentioned maybe when you get to 50, you can maybe see yourself maybe taking a bit of a backward step from the sport. I asked Frank Warren this, and I can obviously put it to you. Obviously, since Saudi's involvement in boxing, we're seeing so many of these big fights coming together now. Has that maybe changed that mindset, or are you enjoying it more than ever?
I'm enjoying my job more than I've ever enjoyed it. And that's down to working with Frank and Queensbury and Spencer Brown and His Excellency. Like, things need to keep evolving. So when things get stale, and this is just another element of the business changing and new experiences. Do you know what I mean? So who would have thought? I mean, tomorrow I'm going for lunch with Frank, right? Just socially.
Who's paying?
Really, not hopefully him, because it's an expensive restaurant. It's got some taste, Frank Warren. Like, he's a classy geezer. I mean, he don't muck around.
You think you see him in a mixed grill?
What?
You see him go to the railway for a mixed grill?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, he's not. Obviously, he's not stuck up, but he does like the finer things, and it's a very nice restaurant we're going to tomorrow. But I think a lot of people are all in now on working together. Some aren't. Right? They talk a good game, but I ain't going to go into it. But there's a lot of them that really don't want to still work with you. But for me, see you, Giorgio. Thanks for coming, mate. So I think that, like, I've never worked so hard in my life. Last night, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, His Excellency, phone calls, American fighters coming out of the Olympics. So I've never been as driven as I am now. So no part of me is tired. No part of me has had enough. No part of me is thinking, how much longer am I going to do this? Where maybe in the past I did think like that. But I said to Frank Warren, when we started talking socially, how much longer are you going to do this? He looked at me like he was going to chin me. He went, what do you mean? I went, well, what are you, like 70, 71? He went, yeah. I went, well, are you going to do this forever? He went, yeah, what else am I going to do? And that's kind of how it becomes. So it's all very well saying, no, I'll pack it in. Imagine packing it in. Like my dad said to me the other day, he went, yeah, you can't pack it in, can you? I went, yeah, I will do. He went, yeah. He went, you know why you won't? I said, why? He went, because you're letting them win when you walk away. And I was like, fuck. Like, oh, yeah, you are really, aren't you? So you've got to be that content with everything. Like as a fighter, when you retire and give up your belts, when you go, do you know what? There's nothing more I can do. I'm happy. But who knows? Maybe that will never happen. But coming here is something I'll never stop doing. You know, and trying to use some of the success we've had as a business to help these places. I'll do that for the rest of my life. Because that's a proper whole, you know, what is it the younger generation say? Wholesome. That's wholesome. Don't know about you guys. I'm looking over at Jamie Ward. He's a bit big time now. But, you know, that was a wholesome experience for me. And even on a selfish level, that's really good for me, that is. Because it puts a smile on my face and really warms my heart to see. Look at the plank challenge with young Zion. And, like, it's amazing. Amazing.
Eddie, obviously sticking with the theme of amateurs, I know you've recently went out to Paris to experience the Olympics. What did you make of the entire event? What did you make of kind of GB not being as successful as what most would have liked?
That's all right. Everything comes around in cycles and systems. You know, like everyone, people will start looking at Sheffield, Team GB, Rob McCracken, Lee Pullen. In my opinion, Rob McCracken, one of the best trainers in the world, Lee Pullen, all of the coaching staff up there, the infrastructure in Sheffield, second to none. Absolutely brilliant. It's been so successful over the years. Every now and again, you get a little tournament. You know, things are changing with qualification systems. They didn't qualify as many fighters as they would like. Some people get a bad draw, a couple of bad decisions. It don't matter. Lewis Richardson done great. I loved the experience out there. Loved it on so many different levels. I mean, firstly, that greats are performing for the glory of the medal rather than the money. That's so unique in sport these days. And secondly, look, just watching the show, the speed of the show, you know. And we had a meeting with the team yesterday where I said, I think we need to start changing things, to freshening things up. You know, maybe is that in the arena, the pace of the show, the number of fights, I don't know. But watching it out there was like, right, bout three, boom, boom, you're in. Right, boom, 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 boom. Right, the winner is you. Right, out you go. Next. You know, and it was like, I loved the pace of it all. Nowadays, we do a fight. There's 2 interviews after. Back to the studio. Ad break. Back to a promo. Back to a bit more chat in the studio. Jamie Ward, obviously, don't stop talking. And, you know, then 20 minutes, 30 minutes, another fight, you know. So I think we're at quite a pivotal moment with boxing. Obviously, there's a lot of big fights happening. We've got to keep evolving and changing and making the product as good as possible.
I've seen you mention in a few interviews, and you mentioned Turki earlier, speaking to him about the Olympians. Is it just British athletes that you're looking at? Or
Me?
As in terms of potential matchroom signings?
Oh, no. You know, I mean, obviously, when I look at the British fighters from the Olympics, there are 3 or 4 fighters that I think would be great addition. But I had meetings with 3 international fighters in Paris. And obviously we're an international promotional company. So, you know, there's a lot of fighters that I think looked fantastically well in the Olympics. You know, even some that didn't qualify. You know, I think Pat Brown is a great fighter. I think he's going to be a really exciting pro. Terra Moana, the Australian heavyweight, I think he's amazing. I think he's so much fun. Amari Jones, the American fighter, I think he's an outstanding talent. Marco Verde, silver medal, amazing. Obviously, Uzbekistan, 5 golds. You know, some great female fighters as well. Yeah, I mean, you can't sign everybody, but this is kind of the 4-year cycle now where you grab. We'll sign between 3 and 6 fighters from the Olympics. And, you know, now's your time but you've got to back the right horse, you know. And in the past, we've backed some tremendous ones, and we've backed some that didn't quite make it. But that's you know, part and parcel of the game.
Someone who claimed a gold medal, but there's obviously a great deal of controversy around their participation in the tournament, was Imane Khelif. Is she a part of your plans at all?
I mean, I think, you know, when I comment about this, I comment without, I think many people do, without knowing the exact facts of the situation. What I would say is, when I first was made aware of this situation, it seemed to think that the perception was the athlete that was born a man and was competing as a woman. The reality of the situation, as I understand it, and again, you know, we must make sure that we speak with knowledge on these facts is Imane Khelif was born a woman, has lived their entire life as a woman, has competed internationally as a female for many, many years, sometimes not doing particularly well, other times doing well. I mean, it's not like she's been this standout fighter for years and years and years. And then a rival organisation deemed a set of results that they felt she shouldn't be competing against men. I haven't seen those results. I don't know enough about it. But you also got to respect the position of the individual. And if it is the case that she was born a woman, has lived her whole life as a woman, has competed on the amateur system for years and years and years as a female fighter, it's a very tough one. And it's a tough one, and I saw some clickbait going around about, an interview with Coogan, would you sign her? I think it's something that has to be looked at in more detail, because you're hearing different sides of the stories, different arguments. Fighters that have, international fighters that have been around her for years, boxed her for years, beaten her, got the better of her in sparring, who said, no, hang on a minute, this is, and then other organisations who are saying, absolutely not, this is ridiculous. And I think it's very unfair to the individual, if the facts that we're talking about are correct, that she should necessarily be treated like that without a real factual look from people who make opinions, and me as well. So the only opinion I can give you is what I just told you, being straight, being honest. And obviously, from a commercial point of view, she's become a huge name and a huge star. But we must make sure that safety in boxing is paramount. It is a level playing field, and I think the situation on a broader level has to be reviewed.
Just a couple of things I want to quickly get your thoughts on, Eddie, before we wrap this up. Turki Alalshikh and Canelo's kind of fallout, if you will. What have you made of it? Do you think it's a repairable situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think, of course, it's repairable when you want to make a fight and you want to sit down. I mean, firstly, in my opinion, I spend every night talking to His Excellency at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and people will take the mick out of me, in the coup, oh, Eddie, His Excellency, oh, yeah, fucking right. I've never enjoyed boxing like I'm enjoying it at the moment, and one of the big reasons is because of Turki Alalshikh. You can make fights, the biggest fights in the sport, in 30 seconds. When have we ever had that before? Can we just take a minute as a fan base and people that love the sport who have moaned historically, about big fights not getting made? Now we have someone that's coming in and making fights like that. And now we're moaning that, it seems a bit, I'm not sure about this bloke. It's unbelievable. And every fighter, every representative, every promoter should be trying to get in front of this guy. He's the most powerful man in the sport. And I said that, it was quite painful to say that, because it's always been me. But it's not, it's him. And I will work tirelessly for my fighters to get in front of him, to work with him, to try and provide opportunities. And already the opportunities that have been provided to our fighters through his involvement has been life-changing for them. So if you don't want to fight someone, I understand it. But you better make sure you're in the game. Because any fighter team that are refusing to look at opportunities for those fighters because they've been told, oh, no, I don't, you mustn't go and see him. Are you mad? Are you mad? But that's the world, that's the business we live in. Don't take his, no. You fuck off, you idiots. And there's other fighters as well, who have been told, no, don't, come on. Morons.
Eddie, we saw Conor Benn instated into number 3 in the IBF rankings earlier. Is news coming out soon as to where things sit in terms of that appeal? Yeah,
I believe so. I mean, look, we'd love to fight this year. If it's not, it will be early in 2025. But that's the key now for us, to get that fight. I want to make one thing clear that, I see some comments about Boots Ennis. The mandatory has been called. And I'm not over the moon about it, because it's a good fighter in Chudikazian, but it's someone that he's boxed before. There's nothing we can do in terms of the mandatory that's been called. But we want to make the biggest fights out there. So, it's frustrating. If it's a fight that has to be ticked off quickly, well, we'll do it. But we want big fights for Conor Benn, and particularly for Boots Ennis. Maybe they fight each other. But the plan for Boots, unquestionably, is to be in unification fights. I've made a substantial offer to Barrios to fight Joe Ennis. Let's see what he says.
Crawford Ortiz likely next for a Riyadh season show?
Maybe. We'll see.
And then final thing, I did an interview with Joe Cordina the other day, and Joe mentioned to me he's got that desire to challenge a lightweight world champion there. You've had talks with Shakur Stevenson. Was anything piped up there?
Yeah, I've spoken to Joe about fighting Shakur Stevenson. Joe's up for it, but he also understands the challenge. Ideally, moving up a weight division, you'd probably want an easier fight than Shakur Stevenson, but Joe is at the age where he wants to be involved in the biggest fights in the sport, and if he feels like the opportunity's right, I'm sure he would take it, but nothing close yet.
An offer there, though? Offer on the table?
Discussions.
And then just one final one. Yafai's had a lot of traffic recently.
Yeah.
End of the year, do we see?
Yeah, look, Sonny Edwards, fair play to Sonny. He's in for every fight because his contract is dictated that way. When we did the deal with him, he said, "I'll fight anybody. You don't even just tell me the money, and I agree to every name." Obviously, he suffered that defeat, come back with a win. He's in for Galal, and Galal is in. He wants to fight. We're sitting down with Rob and the whole team to finalise the plan. Galal hasn't boxed for a long time. He may run out in the next sort of few weeks. Obviously, Sonny's got that cut, but end of November is what we're looking at. And you're right, the traction of that, it just shows you when you make a great British fight that's just got a little bit of needle, it becomes a really big fight. And I think if we get the promotion right on that, if we get the card right on that, Edwards against Yafai becomes a nice, tasty little British blockbuster.
Birmingham or Sheffield?
Birmingham.
Back to a railway we go.
We'll be there.
Cheers, Ed.
Cheers, mate.